We are live. Welcome back, everyone. J-Bone here for Smash This Podcast. Coming at you with some news on a, well, I guess we can call it a classic rock band from back in the day when I was in high school. And, yeah, this past weekend, I wasn't online too much and I wasn't paying attention to a lot of music news, but I try to keep up with this every few days. I check like blabbermouth.net or Sleaze Rocks and look up, news on hard rock bands that I like or that I'm always looking for new music too. So, I was on Sleaze. This is courtesy of sleazerocks.com. I was going through the headlines and found this: Roxy Blue to release new studio album via Frontiers Music in 2019. That is in flip incredible news, in my opinion. I'm not going to go over the whole the whole press release here. I'm just going to read part of the beginning here. It says, "Please welcome Roxy Blue to the Frontiers family. The Memphis Hard Rockers will release a new album in 2019. Thrilled to welcome Memphis, Tennessee Hard Rockers, Roxy Blue to the family. Their legendary debut album, Want Some, is a classic of the early 90s hard rock scene that has continued on from the 80s heyday. The band is currently busy writing and recording a brand new studio album that will be released in 2019. Now, the difference in the band now, he's got all the original guys back together with the exception of one, the guitarist Sid Fletcher. And it says here, has left the music business for a successful career in dentistry." Okay. And, as much as, guys like me would love to chuckle at that, hey, I'm not going to knock that. I'm not. As much as, music fans would look at that and be like, what a joke, what a turd, or whatever. You got to think about how the music scene was back in the day. It was sink or swim. Right after these guys had their 5 minutes of fame on MTV and Headbangers Ball and some successful touring, the industry took a dump on all these new bands that came out in the late 80s, early 90s, like this. And a lot of bands just, faded away into obscurity, and they had to go find real jobs or whatever. And so I don't knock. So, when you hear about someone stopped playing music and went on to something else, I don't knock that, because you got to think about what was going on back then. But the fact that some of these guys have still made a living, or at least tried to continue on with music, like the lead singer here, I've found some really great music from the lead singer, Todd Poole. Within the last few years, he had a side project besides Roxy Blue that they've been touring on and off here and there down south. And I love telling people about new music. Now, this is not new, but he had a band called 714 that released a couple records back. Oh my goodness. It was within the last decade. It was in the early to mid 2000s, I think. Maybe. No. Oh no, it was 20. It was like 2010. The band was like around 2010 to up until like within the last couple years. Put out a handful of videos on YouTube. like I said, couple CDs, couple records, and that stuff had a Southern feel to it, mixed with, oh, the first thing off the top of my head, it sounded kind of like almost like a Southern Saliva type band, minus the the hip hop influence. It had that punch, that kind of like, I don't know what you call it. You can call it alternative rock, modern melodic rock. I don't know what you call it, but it had a similar tone to it. But it still had that Roxy Blue feel to it because of his Southern, his raspy Southernness. And, if people are worried about what the music is going to sound like, I just listened back to the 714 stuff that he put out, and it's great stuff. I love it. Is it a departure from the poppy Poison meets Tesla meets Van Halen meets, I don't know, every mother's nightmare sound that Roxy Blue had back then? Yeah. But he said here in the interview that it's gonna have a different sound to it, but it's still gonna have the Roxy Blue feel to it with a few ballads and stuff like that. So I'm stoked for this. If you guys find the 714 stuff on YouTube, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's heavy, but it's Southern, and some of the more ballad type acoustic stuff will really make you feel like you're listening to another version of Roxy Blue. So if this is what we've got to look forward to, I'm stoked. Okay, I'm very excited. And man, I think back to that summer of '92, man, because I was just graduated high school. I'm hanging out at the Rock Stage at Summerfest downtown Milwaukee on the lakefront. And somewhere in the midst of that year at Summerfest, there was a concert that went like all afternoon and all night. It was Wild Side in the afternoon. Just as the sun was going down, Roxy Blue hit the stage, and then the headliner was Babylon AD. And that triple bill forever, and I mean forever, will be one of my favorite triple bills concerts, period, of all time. And, I could still, I still have images flashing through my head of, what they looked like, what they sounded like back then. I was in the bleachers just having a blast. I remember they opened up with their two ballads, and the rest of it was just a big rock fest. They did two for the ladies, and the rest was just balls out rock. And it's like they played the whole first CD. It felt like just an incredible time back then. And man, if I could ever get that triple bill again, that'd be incredible. And it's interesting. It's interesting that both Babylon AD and Roxy Blue are on the record label now. Now, I've seen what Wild Side looks and sounds like now. I'm not thrilled with it. The lead singer's really, he still has the flair to be on stage, but his voice is not what it was back then. So would I be excited to hear that Wild Side got signed again? Not really, unless he really did some fixing with his voice or whatever you could do to, put out some new music. But nonetheless, I'm stoked for this. So we're getting two incredible Southern rock bands recording stuff in 2019. We got Tora Tora and Roxy Blue, both from that same neck of the woods. And thank you, Frontiers, for putting it together. I can't wait. And like I've said in past videos, this is the shit that keeps me young. You know, I pop in some old Every Mother's Nightmare, Roxy Blue, Tora Tora, Dangerous Toys, Babylon AD, stuff from back in the day that just lit you up, and just, the stuff from the old days of Headbangers Ball and MTV. And now you can look it up anytime on YouTube or whatever. You don't have to wait for it. But man, back then you just sit and watch every video on the edge of your seat back in the day. And oh man, memories. Stuff like that, like I said, it keeps you young. So if you're a fan of the band, and what I would like to refer to now as classic rock, let me know what you think of this news. Are you stoked for this? What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. And if you dig the content, there's plenty more of this where that came from. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that sub button, and ring that bell for notifications so that you know when more of my content hits your screen. Oh goodness. Yeah. Have a good one, folks. We'll see you down the road for the next one real soon.